The light enters Mary via golden rays emanating from a dove, as we see once more in Fra Filippo Lippi's Annunciation scene, now in the National Gallery. A youthful Gabriel, with slightly bowed head, brings the familiar lily stem, and a vase of flowers stands between them, as we saw in Simone de Martini's painting. And again, the enclosed garden beyond thrives in perpetual bloom. A prayer book falls open on the Virgin's lap, a feature commonly portrayed in Annunciation paintings. A luminary of the Italian Renaissance, Lippi was working a little later than Angelico. We can see how he is able to use the Renaissance innovations like linear perspective and chiaroscuro, the use of light and shade to create the illusion of depth, in a much more advanced way. Lippi was Botticelli's teacher. The young artist was an apprentice in his workshop, or bottega, as it was called, and Lippi's influence, it is said, could forever be detected in his work. Botticelli's own Annunciation was created in 1489 to adorn the church of the Florentine monastery of Cestello, and is now in the Uffizi. It has been said that art lovers venturing into the rooms featuring the Botticelli paintings at the Uffizi have been known to faint at the sight of the splendour set before them. It is a known condition called Stendhal syndrome, brought on by exposure to Florence's artistic riches. La Primavera, Palais and the Centaur, Venus and Mars, and La Nascita di Venere, the birth of Venus, as well as 2 renditions of the Annunciation, are among the treasures on show. The Cestello Annunciation and an earlier fresco of the same theme, massive paintings in every sense of the word, delighting both the soul and the senses. La Primavera, the first of these to be completed, was painted after the Pazzi uprising against the Medici in 1478, when Giuliano Medici, the second in line to Lorenzo, was murdered whilst attending Mass. The Medici always had their enemies. Botticelli took the murder hard. The two had been close. Some say Botticelli was seeking to move on from the dark days of grief that gripped the family, and so the theme of spring had personal as well as broader associations. Along with the birth of Venus that followed a few years later, in 1485, the paintings have come to embody the spirit of the Renaissance itself. Now Botticelli, as we have said, was another protégé of the Medici family, a generation on from Fra Angelico and Cosimo. He was a similar age to Cosimo's grandson Lorenzo and brother Giuliano, and worked for many years at the Medici Palace in Florence. These were the golden years of the Renaissance, this great flourishing and fusion of classical wisdom with the Christianity of the day. Note how easily the two worlds sit together in Botticelli's mind at this time. He even appears to use the same model for both Venus and the Virgin. The Cestello Annunciation came much later, in 1489. Again, it seems as if the angel has just arrived, and by the Virgin's gesture, it is clear that it represents the first stage of the mystery, the disquiet. Mary draws back, yet also reaches forward in a brilliantly portrayed gesture of utterly understandable ambivalence. Gabriel presents the familiar lily. Mary wears the traditional deep blue robe and same red dress. There is no dove, however, no embossed words emanating from the angel's lips, no rays of golden light, no reference to Adam and Eve's banishment from the Garden of Eden. Although the tree is emblematic of this, as is the closed garden beyond, the ortus conclusus. All the other elements are assumed, as they were in the Fra Angelico frescoes at San Marco. The use of linear perspective is clear. The vanishing point in the far distance, and all the techniques learned as an apprentice under Filippo Lippi. But much has changed in the intervening years, since the glorious heights of La Primavera and the birth of Venus. Then the ancient Roman goddess, emerging on her shell from the sea, was also Botticelli's muse, the great symbol of the Florentine Renaissance, with her shy nakedness revealed. Now, just a few years later, things looked very different, causing Botticelli to return to the creation of exclusively Christian images.